Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another banging episode of Rantz with your boy, African King Darius. So, rahabat to each and every one of you. Okay? So, look, I'm actually doing this in response to a YouTube video I actually watched. And I want you guys to understand where I'm coming from with this. So, this is my response to the YouTube video that actually was more about me than it was about anything else. And the YouTube video actually is by my brother, and it's actually entitled, how to deal with the whataboutisms. And I was asked to respond to it, and I'm going to respond faithfully by saying this. Today's episode is actually going to be how to deal with single-minded, narrow-minded people. Now, understand, no one is ever saying that it's not okay to focus on one single solitary issue. But the thing is, when there's a broader perspective on how to solve a situation, you should always engage the broader perspective. So today I'm about to fill y'all here with a lot of knowledge. So please listen up. Everybody, like I said before, make sure you also subscribe to my channel. I post up videos as much as I possibly can. And, I'm going to be posting up more content. Like I said, I'm a dad of 3. Got another one on the way. So I am kind of busy. So, okay. But I always make time to talk to you guys. Now, listen up. Back in school, I was always taught how to deal with situations. I was always taught that you look at everything from the broader perspective. You don't just solve one problem, or you don't solve a big problem with only one step. It's impossible, okay? But then there's those situations in life where there are multiple issues within the main issue that also needs attention. So I'm going to give you guys a couple of examples of what I mean. So we all can agree that in society our justice system needs reformation, period. It needs to be reformed, okay? It needs adjustment. It needs all the bloody help it can freaking get, because seriously, it's terrible. It's terrible. There are more African Americans incarcerated than Caucasians, and than any other ethnicity. That much is true. And nowhere have I ever said that there is not a problem going on for African Americans, period. But I'm going to tell you this now. The problems that's going on for our people is so much deeper than we understand. See, we also have issues that even if that one issue about us were solved, it would not help the other issues. So, an example of what I mean is something like this. Let's say you're going out and you buy a brand new bike, right? And the bike, just for some odd reason, you're riding it doesn't seem to be working right? The bike has an inner tube problem and the chain is broken. So you decide to fix the inner tube. You decide to fix the inner tube. You get on your bike and you're trying to ride it. You leave it alone. For about a month, you leave it alone. A month turns into 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, a year. It just sits there. So the next year, you decide to get on your bike. You decide, okay, now I want to fix the chain on my bike. But when you go to fix the chain, you notice that the bike has gathered rust. And now mechanisms of the bike that would work with the chain fixed on it is now messed up. And it no longer works. When you fix the inner tube, did fixing the inner tube fix the entire problem with the bike? Or, matter of fact, here's the question. Would it have made more sense to fix the entire problem with the bike than to only focus on just that one issue with the inner tube and only fix that one part? Wouldn't it make sense to actually just get both problems taken care of? Now I can hear the thinking heads and the talking heads talk and say, hey, well, what if you can only afford to get that one part fixed? Okay, if you can only afford to get that one part fixed, why not get an estimate of how much it will cost to get both parts fixed, and then save up enough money to get both parts fixed, so then you have a completely working bike. Why is that not an option? That same type of logic can be applied to our social issues that exist today. We want there to be reformation against the cops, but we don't want to put our heads together to convince Congress to fix the justice system, period. I ask you this, and I'm about to dive in deep right here, okay? Because this is like my response to that video. I'm about to smash this video completely. Okay, so listen. If we look at the issue like this, let's say, right, I'll give you another example. Let's say you decide to go out and you buy a brand new car, right? The car is perfect, wonderful, nice car. You keep it for about a year. Now all of a sudden the car starts to have problems, right? You take it to the shop and there is a problem with the alternator, and then there's a problem with the fan belt, and then there's a problem with the coolant system, and then there's a problem with the shocks. So you decide, hey, I'm going to go right ahead, I'm going to get the cooling system fixed, the fan fixed, and I'm going to go right ahead and I'm going to get the alternator fixed. So you get those things fixed. Those things are working fine. They're working good, but you don't get the shocks fixed. So you driving one day, you driving, but boom, you hit a bump. A bumpity bump. And I mean, it took a total on the car. Car started acting funny. You think nothing of it. You don't take it to the shop. You don't take it to the shop. You don't take it to the shop. Now, about 2-3 months have passed. You try to turn the car on one day and it just won't start. The car acting funny. Now you take it to the shop, right? And the mechanic tells you your shocks are total. Where the price before he had charged you would have been maybe $250, $300. Now he telling you it's going to cost you $1,000 plus to get it fixed. Now don't you think way back when it was $200 and something and the problem was there and you could have gotten that fixed, don't you think it would have made more sense to just go ahead and get that whole thing fixed and fix up that whole problem? Now most people would try to say, oh, you coming up with scenarios that would never happen to somebody. That's a lie. You can't necessarily say that, because I can actually say this. I have a car right now and there's 2 problems going on with my car. 2 problems. But the thing is, one of the problems is going on with my car. I waited off to get taken care of. And now the problem is getting worse. Because I waited off. I have the money to get it fixed. I just have not taken it to get fixed. Now, isn't that my fault? That I chose to do that? So, if we really want things to change for our people, the broader perspective, that is the whole picture of reformation of the justice system, needs to be done. That was on the table during the Obama administration. But But it got taken off the table once the Republicans came in office and Donald Trump came in office. It just got removed. Like it never existed. Now no one wants to talk about fixing our justice system. No one wants to talk about fixing it. Just sitting here telling cops that they can't do this, they can't do that, doesn't mean they won't do it. Now, I'll give you another example of what I mean. So let's say, right, you driving your car. You driving, you cruising. You know, you bopping. Yeah, you bopping to the music. You get pulled over by a cop. Now, this guy sees your car, sees your license plate number, finds out you got a YouTube channel. And a lot of his videos, he never liked it by you. He hates your YouTube videos. Oh my goodness, I hate this dude YouTube videos. And he sees that it's you. What do you think is a likely chance that cop is going to treat you fairly? Now, he can. He's supposed to. But here's the thing though. Whose choice is it to decide to do that? Him. He can make that choice to decide to not treat you right. Why? Because he can. The exact same way how we can say that needs to change for police. Why is it we can't say it needs to change about our people? Why is it we cannot say that a black person or African American, because I don't like here to that title of black, an African American can pick up a gun and aim it right at somebody just because they want what they have? Why is it that that's fair and that's fine? That doesn't get anybody's attention. But it does if a white person who is, I felt a cough coming on, who is a cop, aims his gun at somebody, black, and it gets attention. But then if he takes that same gun and aims it at somebody white, oh, it's fine. It's just two white people killing each other. But then, oh, if it's a black cop aiming his gun at a black person, oh, well, you know, that's fine too. It's just two African Americans killing each other. Why are those two things not even an issue? Now, bruh, and bro, I'm talking to you now. I listened to your video. And there were so many different holes in it that it really makes my head spin because a lot of it did not make much sense. First of all, let me address this. In science, when it comes to solving a problem, you're taught to look at every single angle. Not sit there and only narrow your vision only on one single solitary topic and only one single solitary answer. You're taught to look at the broad perspective and find multiple ways to solve the problem. There should always be a plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G. There always should be. Even when it comes to surviving out in the wild, there should always be multiple ways to solve a problem. But in your case, you're telling people to only look at the perspective of just, oh, if we fix the cops, that's going to fix our overall issue. Okay, let's explore that. So, now we're living in a perfect society. Cops treat black people well. Okay? A black person goes over. He pulls out a gun. He shoots a 14-year-old child because that 14-year-old child is running drugs for another gang member. Then that child is on his turf. That little 14-year-old dies. The cops come over there. Freeze. They tell him to freeze. He pulls out his gun and aims at the cops. They don't. They pull out tasers. One of them tases the black guy. His gun goes off and shoots another officer. Now, how could that problem have been solved? Couldn't that problem have been solved if the officers would have pulled out their gun and told him to freeze? That there was a situation that you did not touch on, with a young man actually pulled out a gun aimed at an officer. And all of the talk heads sat there and said that that guy who aimed his gun at that officer, where one of his bullets flew into somebody's house, that guy was innocent. That officer used excessive force. The officer came over there to talk to him, and he was trying to talk to him, and the guy was reaching in his car for a gun. Well, actually, he was reaching in his car for a knife, because when they looked into his car, they found the knife. Everybody supported him and said that guy was wrong. Why is it when there's circumstances that actually show in that situation that this person and that person was actually wrong, you don't touch on that? You don't talk about it. You ignore it. You act like none of that stuff actually exists. The only thing that exists is just this point only. That's not how you solve a situation. So, you fixing up your house, right? You got a brand new house. It's 3 holes. It's a hole in the ceiling. It's a hole in the living room floor. There's a hole in the porch. You get the hole in the porch fixed. You get the hole in the ceiling fixed. I don't have to worry about anything else. My house is looking nice. You ignore that hole in the floor in the dining room, right? I probably said it was somewhere else, but you get my point. You walk one day, your kids are playing, yay! Let's say, they go into the dining room, fall right through the hole and hurt themselves. Now, don't you think you should have paid attention to every single problem that was going on with the house and fix every single problem instead of only focusing on just one? You focus only on the holes that you could see, but that hole in the dining room that clearly was visible, you ignore it. Why is it that's wrong to think about? Why do people believe that solving the overall thing? I am asking for a reformation for the entire justice system. Once you do that, that goes all the way down to the cops. That goes all the way down to law enforcement. That includes them. If we could really speak loud enough, we're speaking loud enough for police brutality, but nobody wants to speak loud enough for justice reform. So what? You tell the cops that they can't do that no more. Stop hating and hunting down blacks. Okay, so now let's explore that. Now they stop going after black people, right? One day, little Damien is driving his car. He listening, roll, bounce, glide, skate. He in his car driving. He has in his dash, he has a pound of coke. My man's is snorting coke while driving. Take a hit, he driving. Next thing you know, Damien gets pulled over by a cop, right? The cop goes over to Damien and says to Damien, "How you doing today, sir?" He looks to see that Damien is black. "Oh, well, you have a nice day, sir." He gets back in his car and he leaves. Damien pulls off. There's a little innocent 6-year-old child going across the street. Damien is high as hell. He hits the 6-year-old child. That child dies. Now, that same officer is driving off. He sees a white guy, going in his trunk. He goes to pull over the white guy because he got a bad light. His light in the back of his car don't work. Pull over for the basic traffic stop. "Hey, how you doing today, sir? I'm going to need you to get that light checked." The guy pulls out a gun. The officer tells him, "Freeze!" He shoots him. That white guy gets hurt. They arrest him. Take him to jail. Now I got a question. Should that officer be held accountable for the fact that he did not stop that African American who hit that 6-year-old kid with the coke in the car? And then I got a question. What was the unlikely chance that that young man didn't have a gun in the car if he also had drugs with him? Now you're going to probably try to look for holes in that story, but that story is clad tight. It's clad tight. At the end of the day, man, that's just the truth. So my response to your video is this. What I was saying is we need to fix the overall picture. Even if we take care of the cops, it's not going to do anything to sit here and make things better for our people. So what, the cops, you give them this to do, that to do. Here's the point. I said it last time when I commented on one of your other comments that you said. The truth of the matter being, it's all down to choice. Now, let's say the law is the law, and they say cops can no longer use deadly force unless deemed necessary by an overseeing officer. And let's say the overseeing officer is in the car with one of these officers. He pulls over a stop. It's a guy who's a known gang member. He has an AK-47 in the car. He has a Uzi, and he has a pound of heroin sitting in the car. They stop him. They draw their weapons. Freeze! He gets out the car. Now, that officer decides to tell him put down the gun. He does everything right. His overseeing officer tells him to do the same thing. That's, the guy takes off and run. One guy takes off and run. He runs after him. He sees the guy, and the guy's got a gun. Now, here's my thing. In that situation, if the officer decided to go right ahead and shoot the guy to the ground and then shoot him dead, should he not be held accountable for that death? Yes, he should. Because at the end of the day, the point remains that he still shot that person. And he made that choice to shoot him. So let's say he shoots the guy in the leg. The guy wounded. But he goes right over him and shoots him square dead in the head. Execution style. That officer crossed the line and made that choice to shoot him the second time. At the end of the day, you can tell an officer that they can't do this and they can't do that, but the choice is up to you. I can actually vouch. I've worked jobs where a lot of times my boss has told me, "Hey, King, you can't do this. King, you can't do that. King, you can't do this. King, you can't do that." And guess what? I did it anyway. Why? Because it helped me do my job better. It helped me do my job better. And I saw in my mind that it was necessary for me to do that. You can't change that. You can make any dang on law you want, but it's all down to human behavior, period. We as human beings give ourselves the right to make the choice to decide to be disgruntled, to decide to hate, to decide to not like. That's all our choice. Hate is a choice. At the end of the day, it's a choice. And there ain't no amount of laws or anything that's going to change it. So what? You make laws. But then here's the thing. You make those laws, people are still going to break them. There's laws today. And aren't people still breaking those laws? Yes. Don't talk on your phone while you driving. Hey, what up, DJ? What's up, man? People do it all the time. Don't drive and text. What up, girl? Oops, I hit somebody. It happens all the time. So trying to solve the problem by ignoring the whatabouts is not going to fix it. You cannot perform a algebraic equation with unknowns. You can't sit here and create a chemical reaction without chemicals. Choosing to ignore certain things and not include them does not work. If we get reformation for the justice system as a whole, that helps everybody. That helps everybody, not just blacks. See, people who talk like that, who say don't worry about it, only focus on this, are the exact same people who expected Obama when he came in office to only be president towards blacks. He can't just do that. We turned against our own daggone president, and we started calling him all kinds of names and making fun of him, all because he chose to not. He could not focus all his energy on just African Americans, period. What would that do to the world? that would ruin stuff for everybody. So that's my response. I'll wait to hear yours. I really think that you need to listen 100%, because for real, you missing out, bruh. I'm going to be real with you. To tell you the truth, the reason I say your logic is basic is because your logic is still stuck in that slave mentality where we're sitting here saying that we should hate other people because they're different than us. And trying to solve racism with more racism is not going to solve anything. Thank y'all for being on my show today. Deuces.